All right, what's up, everybody? How you doing? This is Al. This is the Willpower Podcast. Today, I am interviewing one of my friends, Jordan. What's going on, bro? I'm gonna call you Jay though. Call you Jay.
What's going on, man? Pleasure, for you to invite me. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
Big
yeah,
ups.
yeah. I've been telling you about the podcast. I've been talking about it for a while, and I wanted to have my good people come on here and help me, with a few stories and talk about the challenges. But before we start, Jay, can you tell us a little something about yourself?
For sure. I was born in the tri-state area, Connecticut to be exact. A military kid, pretty much like it was new for my immediate family, but I did it as a means to expand my professional growth. Kind of experience with as far as academia, bachelor's and master's, where I studied broadcast journalism for college. And then I ventured off into like web development, marketing for my master's. So that's evolved into something beautiful. But I can't ever forget conversations like today where we're talking about, what it means to master challenges, but still reflect on how they've molded us in a way
Yeah,
and open up healthy dialogue. So again, it's a pleasure to be here and for me to learn from my guy and catch up as always.
I love that. I love that, man. Well, besides that, and we're gonna talk about challenges. What have you been up to lately? Like what you've been doing that's positive out here.
Yeah. So, side note, I know for the viewers who may not know, we do go back a bit, and even with how we met, I think we can both attest that it was good, and it was also very interesting. I was involved with someone, and so Will was friends with that person, and so I thought I had something very real. I will admit. But for what it's worth, it didn't work out, which is fine. And I think that again falls in line with challenges. But since then, I've dived much more into overall wellness, whether it be the gym, nutritional lifestyle, and I think mastering my mind a little bit more. There were moments where I was pretty down in the dumps. And we can take this in different directions, but for somebody of color, a man at that, it can be hard to even reach out to friends and say, hey, I'm going through something. This is uncomfortable. This is unfamiliar. I don't feel my best. But I feel okay reaching out, right? That's not something that's always second nature. And so even again, having conversations like tonight, I think frees me up to feel like myself even more. So that's pretty much what I've been up to. And other than that, I do have a dog, Dakota. That's my guy. He just turned 1. He's a Cane Corso. For any dog lovers out there, that in itself is
I
quite
saw
the
the pics,
journey, but
man.
well
I
worth
saw
it.
the pics, man. Good pics. Yeah,
Yeah,
good
yeah,
pics of your dog, man. You're killing
yeah.
it.
He's quite he's
Yeah,
quite photogenic. So
yeah, for
love him,
sure.
love that guy.
Yeah, I love that, man. And that's why I kind of asked, what are you doing positive? Because sometimes you got to keep your mind in a positive direction and keep your body doing positive things to be able to overcome certain challenges. Some challenges you can't just fix from the outside in, putting band-aids on. Sometimes you got to fix your challenges from the inside out.
Right.
But if you could summarize that challenge, I mean, I know there's a lot of different challenges inside of the challenge, but if you could summarize everything into this one small phrase or sentence of what your biggest challenge was, what would you say that challenge would be?
It would be knowing that it's okay to be vulnerable, but being honest with yourself about if you're willing to be vulnerable again, right? And so, again, being that I was involved with someone that I thought was very special, I'll take a step back. A friend of mine, we were just having a conversation just days ago, and we were kind of going back and forth, and he had asked me the question, have you ever loved somebody? And I said, yeah, I've loved somebody, and I've also been in love with somebody, and so she was that person. And the reason why I say that is because, in my opinion, there are no bounds for someone that you're in love with. You would want to do for that person. You would want to see it through. And not to say that you would lose yourself, right? Of course, I still knew who I was, but there was also a side of me that was willing to do the work, right? Like I felt and I didn't question my purpose in this person's life and what that could mean going forward. But as time went on, and as different conversations were had, and I certainly had different revelations, it came more of a question of, okay, is my vulnerability strengthening me or is it working against me? Right? Is it something that I can use as a compass, or is my mind playing tricks on me? If I thought being vulnerable was a good thing. I
Mm.
thought it would be respected. I thought it would be complimented. I thought that it would be something that is not only joyous, but can just be respected.
Now, when you
It
say when you say vulnerability, are you saying like towards a woman, like being vulnerable towards a woman?
It can mean a variety of things. It can be for a woman, in my case, a woman, or it could be knowing what's for you is for you, right? Putting your best foot forward, not ever questioning if what you're doing would be worth it. You're making yourself vulnerable to the journey of bettering yourself, the journey of going the extra mile, the journey of looking at yourself and forgiving yourself of past trials or tribulations you went through, right? To
Right,
get over those hurdles to be where you want to be
right,
financially, mentally, right? We can this conversation can go into many different avenues, but at the end of the day, in essence, I think that it's a metamorphosis of knowing that your vulnerability can be your greatest strength, because I like to think of it as, let's say, for instance, if we think about a story, right? In this case, the vulnerability, metaphorically, it's like pressurized, right? Like you might be uncomfortable, you're learning new things about yourself, you're discovering new things, whether you're with someone or you're going through something new, starting a new job, trying to make your way through school, starting a business, I would assume, right? Only you know what your limits are, but are you willing to look past that and say, here are my strengths, here are my weaknesses, and I'm willing to put in the work. I'm willing to give in the effort. Though I may not know all that I think I should know in the moment, or sometimes I might be curious about if this person is into me as much as I'm into them, kind of thing. Being upfront and honest with yourself has been one of my greatest challenges, but also one of my greatest strengths, because I'm able to be real with myself. I'm able to challenge myself in a healthy way to say, okay, I know the purpose in which I'm giving my all to the situation. And in the end, I can look back and say, I did it and I don't regret it. So yeah, it's certainly something that I had to spend time thinking about. So,
yeah. Well, it sounds like, of course, the story is without getting into too much detail. It's one of basically, what would you say, like just a straight? How can we put this? Cut off, cold
right.
turkey, your favorite drug, your favorite food, your favorite
Yeah.
family, cold turkey. You cut it off, and then having to deal with that and manage that without ever dealing with it again. That is some tough stuff. Is that the best way to describe it?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You thought, or you would think that whether it be, again, professional pursuit or a relationship, could complement you, and it does, consume much of what you even want to give back to. Right. It's like you might have even built a routine, and for it to not turn out the way you thought it would, you could very well question life in other ways. And so again, even in my personal case, that was the case. It was like, I was giving my all to this person. I was willing to know them for who they were, but it just didn't work out. What? Like, and again, different circumstances that I don't have control over. It was quite a turn of events, but I'm glad to sit with you here today and say it didn't take me out, and
Right.
even more so mentally, because if you're not careful, and I've even been a victim of this, if you're not careful, you can build so much of forever with someone or something that, should it not work out, how would you then be able to build yourself back up? And so that's where I credit things like the gym, a firm circle, including Will, and knowing that, again, I can continue to be myself and live this life of mine with authenticity and continue to be a good person, because somebody out there has good reason for not feeling like they can trust or kind of be their self in full moments, but I promise you it's worth it.
And so it sounds to me like you still have hope for a situation where you can be vulnerable, and that you doing that is being reciprocated, and you're being valued just as much as the other person is being valued.
For
But
sure. Yeah.
I also have a question.
Yeah.
Now,
Let's go to it.
did you rebuilt yourself? It sounds like from the inside out. It
Mhm.
sounds like you saw this situation because when you cut people out, when somebody's like, when somebody's basically dead to you, it's like taking off your arm. It's like taking off a limb. It's like ripping that off, and then you don't know. Sometimes you wonder, like, what if?
Right.
You have to remember that things happen for a reason, and that building yourself up is the only way to overcome them. So, I mean, how did you start that journey? Like, how was that, the rebuild?
Yeah, first and foremost, and the process is different for everyone, but knowing that you can, in fact, grieve. Like pushing it away it's uncomfortable, but going through it can still comfort you in ways that you wouldn't understand if you again push it away. And so I did allow myself to ask the questions, continue to reflect, again, have conversations not only with yourself but friends and family. And from there, it was more of the mindset of, okay, I absolutely cannot change something that I wanted, right? So deeply. Again, in this case, it was a relationship with somebody that I thought was my forever, something that I wanted, dead set on it, right? But it flipped itself on its head. Okay, cool. Then the next phase came in the form of adaptation. Right? How do I adapt in something that I was used to operating in? But okay, something may look like the same routine, but it feels different. I got to adapt to that. I have to, wake up kind of in the mindset of I can do this, though it's the same routine. I had to adapt to that. Embracing that, knowing that it's uncomfortable, it's lonely sometimes. It's like, why me? Why this timing? What should I be learning? And so I think the last phrase or stage for me was knowing that there is room to always grow, always. And so I don't think we would be ourselves if we don't do that or we don't embrace that, even in the slightest sense. So again, that looked like me even going to the gym more, taking it more seriously, kind of adding that to my arsenal of overall health, knowing that I could, rest my thoughts more and again, reach out to friends and family about, how they're even doing a little bit more, right? And having that sensibility that says everything might not look okay, might not seem okay, but let me still check on it. Let me still make sure you're good. Let me, hey, you need good, you need a phone call, like I'm free this time. All right, cool. I'm just checking on you. All right, bro. Things like that, right?
Yeah.
So for lack of a better phrase, I think some of us might wear mask very well, and for lack of a better purpose, like that could backfire, right? We don't want to ever assume that because someone may seem the strongest or is the most happiest is in fact, whereas it could be the opposite. So
You say seem the strongest.
right.
And that kind of makes me see we can strengthen our minds by reading, and we can strengthen our bodies by working out. We can strengthen the people around us by conversation and motivation. But the question is, how do you strengthen your heart?
That's good.
Most of those things that we're talking about, when you strengthen your mind, you have to put that time away so you can't go outside. You give yourself that pain of not going outside. You give yourself that pain of that denying that momentary pleasure. When you're working out, you give yourself that pain to stretch your muscles and break them down and turn them into scar tissue and make them stronger. So how do you think you make the heart stronger? I think that that's something that nobody really thinks about at all. Like you know those guys that's just like, man, they can't get over something. Like it's something small to us.
Mhm.
And to them, it's kind of like, oh, it's the biggest deal in the world, and then later on you meet them again or you talk to them again, and it's like, yeah, I overcame that. Now I'm dealing with this.
All right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? That pain is that gain in that sense, and that steel is sharpening the steel. And there's some places I probably wouldn't be right now if I hadn't gone through what I went through, and I'm sure the same for you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it is quite of a transformation, but unseen by some people that might even be closest to us, right? And that's okay. That's okay, because when we're talking about the heart, something that should in fact be valuable to other people is not always treated that way. And so again, it goes back to the question of, okay, in moments of rebuilding, is it, what is most helpful? I know for certain it's not self-sabotaging, right? So embracing and knowing that there can in fact be a better day. There can in fact be a grieving phase that can still enlighten you in other ways that you hadn't thought would, can definitely aid assistance to your heart. And I think emotionally, we tend to want a quick fix with some things, and emotionally that just can't happen. It can't happen. If you hurt me and I felt the things that I did for you, for me to get over it a couple of hours, couple of days, it's like, well, damn, like, what did it ever mean? Right. And so again, it goes back to that question of authenticity. I know for me, I can't fake it. And that in itself is a challenge, because it just proves that we all have a different healing process, but we all conceptualize things differently, and we shouldn't think that everyone has our best interests. So I think that fine line of discernment And back to that old saying, treat everybody the way you want to be treated, kind of
Yeah.
thing. And just watch the company you keep, for sure. And that was something that has aided my upbringing too, because not everybody wants the best for you, right? Not everybody sees you in the light that you see yourself, but that shouldn't matter, because what does it mean for you to look at yourself in the mirror and say, I deserve this, or I feel this way about myself, right? The world shouldn't ever determine that. And so that's also what I pride myself on, day in and day out.
No doubt. No doubt. Hey, I was looking at a video the other day, where it might have been the day where the lady was showing how the way you think or the way you treat yourself, that is how people will treat you. And it's extremely important to me because I'm an entrepreneur. And so she was saying something along the lines of, if you ask somebody to purchase what you're creating or your product, you should not feel bad for pricing it the way you price it or putting it where you put it, as far as you know what I mean. And so if you're charging somebody, say you're selling a shirt and you're selling that shirt for $100, you don't need to feel bad about it, because you know your worth. You know where you're going. You put the time and you put the inner work in. You know that this is something you created, and sell it for how much you want to sell it for at the end of the day, and don't feel bad about it. And we should treat ourselves like that too. So if you come to me and you disrespect me, yeah, sometimes I might give an extra chance, but there's no third strikes. There's no third chances. You need to remember that the way people treat you is a reflection of how you treat yourself. You know what I'm saying? So that means that if somebody disrespects me, a female disrespects me or something like that, and we're in the same, that means I need to still work on myself. So I'm going to take all accountability for that, every last bit of it. I'm not even going to blame nobody else. That takes all their power away and gives me all the power. And then I'm going to show you a better version of me. And maybe if in the future I feel like you are deserving of my time and energy, then you might be back in my good graces. However, that is how you have to hold yourself. That's the regard you got to hold yourself in, or nobody else is going to do it for you. And that's something I had to learn. That's my thing.
Right.
Right. I mean? As far as my brand, you see, I created a brand. I'm doing all this stuff. And at the end of the day, when you create something, it's almost like it's your baby. So it's not like it's like a huge deal to you, but it's something. And you might go out in the street and you tell somebody and they're like, man, that's brilliant. And you're like, word. They should not be thinking my idea is more brilliant than I think it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's well put. And like we've talked about in the past, it can be daring to think unconventionally in ways that's just like, okay, I am my true self now. However other people take it, we have no control over that. And so again, you even embodying this in your platform and hosting these conversations with, I think, a meaningful purpose to uplift, inspire, and to question again, what it means to embrace your purpose and have that will and that drive to, no pun intended, that drive to overcome, but still see things through.
And that's what it's all about, man. At the end of the day, I can ask you, what's your challenge? And we're going to figure it out. And then you have to have the will to do that. You have to have the time, you have to have the drive to do that. I agree with that 100%. And I also, before we get, too far into it, I want anybody that has any comments or anything they want to say to us personally, please do comment below, and I will leave you my Instagram. Please do tell me if you've already been through this before, if you understand, or even if you don't and you need advice and you haven't gotten to where we've gotten in this journey, please do comment, because it's necessary that we all help each other up.
Sure.
What do you think about that? Do you have anything else to say about
yeah, again, I appreciate you having me on. It's a blessing to not only be enlightened, but to feel like I can share a tidbit of who I am and just some things I've been through, because wherever we go through, we can always be of assistance to someone else or be a listening ear. So I try to remain a student in that way, for sure.
I love that, man. Stay that way. You sound you're humble, but you're strong. And they got to check you out on. Can I share your Instagram?
Oh yeah, sure.
You can say it. I'm gonna put it in the comments, but go ahead and share your Instagram too.
Yeah, Jordan I. Carter, Jordan I, last name Carter. Feel free to follow me on socials.
Yeah, check out his journey, man. So if you heard him say he did the inner work, you'll see his journey on his Instagram. Man,
I'm going. Yeah,
he's going in. There's no. Yeah, you got to check him out on Snapchat if you want to give him the Snapchat too.
Yeah. Well, what the people say natty. Yeah, no added supplements, but it's good. Again, it's good to be back. Good to be back at it in the gym, and even for Snapchat, J.I. Carter, Jay Carter. That's where you can find some of the lifestyle and like fitness things that really attract my mind, and so even some fashion. So yeah,
No doubt. And if you have any questions about how you got there, because I'm telling you,
yeah.
they're gonna have questions.
Oh yeah, no worries, no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Yeah,
So yeah,
inquiring minds might want to know. Some minds might already know.
some of them
It's
do,
okay.
and some of them still have questions. If anybody has any comments, questions, leave them in the comment section below. Jay Carter, this is not the last time we're gonna do this, but this is
Perfect.
definitely the first time for sure. So with that being said, thank you very much for being on my show. I'm going to send you a little something through the mail, and once again, you guys check him out on Instagram. I'm going to leave the links in the description, and that's it. That's it for the first episode, man. I really appreciate you coming through, man. We did it.
Great. Thank you.
Man. Thank you much, man. Much love and peace. There we go.